There's the little recording lady, so that's my cue to start. So good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are, and welcome to Back to Basics. Whether it's your first Back to Basics or your eighth Back to Basics, we're thrilled to have you here. And as always, I'm honored that you've taken time out of your schedule to catch up on this series. It's been tremendously successful. And I think we're meeting a need, and I think today will be no different for you all. So before we get started, as always, just a couple housekeeping notes. Everyone's been muted on entry. Don't be insulted. We do want this to be interactive. And so we have a Q&A panel down at the bottom of your screen. You might have to click the three little buttons to see the Q&A panel, but we would ask that you use that to ask questions during the presentation. That is the best way for us to see your questions, and we have panelists available on the call waiting anxiously to answer your questions. So we don't want them to be bored, so please ask questions in the Q&A panel. But we'll also do a live Q&A session at the very end of the call. So when Joey finishes his presentation, if you have a burning question that you want to ask live, you'll be able to raise your hand using the little hand icon, and I'll unmute you and you can ask your question live. Second thing is, everybody always asks, it's a popular question, will this recording, the deck, be shared? Yes, we always share the deck and the recording in Sales Connect. It takes about a day to get it uploaded, but once it's there, you can search Back to Basics. Not only will you find today's session on ThousandEyes, but you'll find all the previous sessions. So feel free to go re-listen to the recording if hearing it once wasn't enough for you. We'd love to have you listen again. So with that, my last housekeeping item, this is being presented by Joey Von Habermatt, who is the Chief Technical Evangelist for ThousandEyes. That being said, this is not a technical deep dive. This is a session that is aimed at our newer to networking sellers, and folks who may consider themselves to be less technical, much like myself. So this is your chance to drop now, because I cannot give you 30 minutes of your life back, and I don't want you to be disappointed at the end of the session. So with that, let's get started on Back to Basics, looking at ThousandEyes. So ThousandEyes is a critical part of our Catalyst Full Stack messaging, and we developed the Catalyst Full Stack campaign and the messaging to do two things: was to address needs we're hearing from our customers, and to drive business outcomes. And we really honed in on four areas that we're focused on, and that is on transforming their infrastructure, securing their enterprise, reimagining applications and how they deal with them, and then lastly is powering hybrid work. So we've gone through the securing piece, the connecting piece. We started with Catalyst 9K switching, wireless, and then Cat 8K routing. We've also hit the securing piece. So we've talked a lot about securing the enterprise with ICE and Umbrella and secure network analytics. So today we're moving to the last phase of that, which is really about reimagining applications and how you see them, the network. It really touches on everything. It's about automation and analytics. And there's no place better to start with that than with ThousandEyes. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Joey to start talking, and I will be quiet. I know that's a shocker for everybody who knows me, but take it away, Joey.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Molly, and thank you all for joining. So really appreciate y'all tuning into this session on ThousandEyes. I hope that in the next 30 minutes, we can go through a couple of fundamentals here, right, with this being back to basics. So I want to capture what is ThousandEyes, get you comfortable with the messaging around it, how to demo the solution, and most importantly, how to sell it. How do we align our offering and our solution to our customers and bring value to them? Then at the end, we'll leave a little bit of time, as Molly mentioned, for the Q&A. So with that, I want to start by acknowledging a few important trends that we're just observing in the enterprise space globally, right? This is for all customers. And some of those trends have been affected, obviously, by COVID and just the changes in the global economy in general. But we're already starting to move this direction, right? So that was just pouring gasoline on the fire. Some of the big stats you might notice here are hybrid work is now the new norm, right? We're seeing this big shift towards hybrid work, and the trend is continuing, right? It looks like it's here to stay. cloud spending continues to grow, right, at the rate of at least 35%, and this is changing and only accelerating as we look forward, right? SaaS adoption is also showing that its growth has exceeded the $20 billion market space now. So you're seeing the investment companies are making into these solutions, the investment into a agile type of environment that allows us to consume our SaaS applications and be agile, adapt to customer needs quickly, and pivot around. And the last big one you'll see here is the trending in WAN markets, right? The traditional way we connected all of our organizations together is rapidly evolving, and we're seeing a lot of customers moving away from that outdated kind of architecture to be replaced with SD-WAN solutions, right? So what does all this mean? Well, this means that we're in an entirely new world. The IT landscape has fundamentally changed, and it's affecting everything. It's affecting our apps, our people, and most importantly, our infrastructure, right? The traditional methods of looking at a network architecture and being able to identify a problem, work through that, and bring it to resolution, it's becoming blurry. It's becoming challenging. I wanted to put up a little visual here to kind of show you what that example looks like. So this might have been a traditional network from several years back where you'd have your branch offices on the left there connecting into a single provider, maybe two providers, but you had SLAs assigned to those paths. And then you'd be connecting to a data center, presumably that you would host your applications in, you'd have complete control over. And in this model, you would have been able to utilize traditional tools to monitor those links, troubleshoot problems occurring within your own infrastructure, and IT operations would have, we'll call it a loose hold on that kind of environment. Everything has changed today. As we've moved to the cloud, as we move to this internet-centric IT, applications have become more modular, right? Everything has shifted into these type of SaaS offerings where we can't identify a single data center anymore or a couple of redundant data centers. The WAN links are no longer managed by a single provider, but we're going to leverage the internet and SD-WAN solutions to navigate around and bring stability to those, but also inherit a lot of complexity and a lot of, we'll call it dependencies on infrastructure that you no longer control and you no longer have visibility into. Right? So this is the challenge, right? The visibility is going down, it is shrinking, that control is being reduced from the traditional IT organizations, and our dependencies are growing exponentially. Every time we consume a new application, every time we bring up a new offering to the market, we're losing less and less of that control, right? So we need to redefine what this looks like. And the truths that we've originated around that is cloud has really become the new data center. SaaS has replaced the traditional app stack. Home, for the most part, is the new office or a hybrid version of that. And internet is the new network, right? So when we think about it this way, you can see the result that you're going to start to have a lot of blind spots, massive blind spots for our customers. And the challenge is going to be, how do we gain visibility? How do we troubleshoot in this new world, in this new environment? How do we solve if there's a problem? Is it the service provider? Is it the application? Is it an edge service? This consumes a lot of time and resources just to determine the problem in general, right? So we need to redefine how we look at this environment and how that affects our companies, right? It affects things not just at the application layer, but also your people and your infrastructure, right? This can affect revenues of our customers, brand damaging. We can have the employee experience, right? Like, what is it like when we return to office? Can we provide that same experience as a worker is experiencing at home? And then the infrastructure itself. Can we bring consistency and business continuity across those existing infrastructures? If we don't, the consequences are significant for our customers. There's a few different reports here. The links are down the bottom there, but what we've observed is that when things go wrong, it is very costly to our customers. It's estimated that the business losses exceed, just in North America, over $700 billion due to IT downtime. 70% of IT outages, this is a report by IHS, have been associated with publicly third-party operators, right? These would be your cloud providers, your hosting colos, telecom providers, etc. Right? And so you can see, as we look at this is a real problem, right? This is something that affects all of our customers, and it's very costly. So if we can do something about it, people are very interested in that, and we're interested in offering that and helping that. And I think we've got something here. So I want to jump to an example. This is a real-world example where a a service provider, content delivery network, I believe this one was Prolexic or Cloudflare, had a major outage. Now, there was two companies that front end their banking systems on that DDoS mitigation CDN network. One of them had the traditional method of when the outage occurred, right, it affected both of them equally, but during that outage, which could not have been mitigated in any other way, one of those customers ended up being able to take a proactive approach, triggering failover systems and navigating around the outage, providing an uptime of about 4-minute interruption there. The other customer, unfortunately, did not have a monitoring tool, ThousandEyes in this case, and therefore lagged in awareness, right? They struggled to identify what was the issue that was occurring, right? This is where you see the war room bridges coming online, and they had to go through those traditional methods, and it cost them at least 2 hours, right? During this time, transactions could not be completed by merchants. The banking system was down for their customers, right? Portals were not accessible, and it cost them significant time and money, right? So this is where ThousandEyes brings our value, right? We really illuminate our blind spots for customers, right? We can look into those dark corners, and we can start to bring light and visibility and intelligence into these black boxes or these new areas that we previously haven't had visibility into, right? So we are there to see and understand and improve the digital experience everywhere. So I want to show you guys how we do this, and the best way to set this up is to jump into a quick demo. So for the demo, I'm just going to show 2 quick things, and I want you all to think in the back of your mind as I'm going through this, how you might do this yourself. So what I'm displaying here is an internet outage map. This is something publicly available. Any of you can go to thousandeyes.com/outages, and this shows you a real-world view for the last 24 hours of outages occurring around the globe, affecting critical applications. I believe we're monitoring about 75 today, and critical network infrastructure, right? These are major internet backbone providers, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 providers. And what we're doing here and what you're seeing is we've got over 600 cloud agents. These are agents that are run all around the globe in data centers, probing, running over 1.7 billion tests daily across these applications, across these networks, measuring and certifying the health of those networks. And what we're doing is we're displaying where we're observing issues, right? So if we just look into a couple examples here, Twitter just 15 minutes or 1 hour ago had a 15-minute long outage affecting 25 of their publicly available servers, right? Amazon here has got 46 servers, it looks like, being affected, right? So you can quickly see as we hover over where the applications are being affected and even what regions they're being affected in, right? So you might be accessing Twitter over somewhere in EMEA area and everything's fine, but your US customers might be having trouble, right? That's a challenging problem to identify and observe, but with our visibility, it starts to become very clear. So the example I want to jump over to is, imagine that you are there with Twitter and you're having an issue with those servers. You're at the help desk and people are saying, hey, I'm having a service problem or I'm having an issue with accessing certain websites internally. So the ticket is originated, goes to help desk, and they're saying, great, we're a ThousandEyes customer. Why don't we take a look into ThousandEyes to see what might be affecting this user's experience? So when they launch the page, this is what it would look like. This is just a snapshot of 24 hours for that customer. And what we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to look at when they were having an issue. And so I want to bring your focus down to this experience score on the left. What we're doing is we're basically measuring to various pages that user is viewing. So in this case, Zoom or Box.com. And what we're doing is we're measuring a health score based on availability. And there's a few different metrics. Don't worry so much about those, but basically we're bubbling up what the health or the experience of that customer would be during that time. Now we can move through time here and observe changes in this experience throughout the day for that user, right? So troubleshooting, one of the most challenging problems, intermittent problems, becomes a lot easier with ThousandEyes here. So we can see, okay, Box was affected, but it looks like Google Calendars was still okay. That's interesting. Okay, everything came back, kind of hovering around. All right, looks like we're having an inconsistent kind of issue here. We observe some errors. Why don't we jump into the network and see what's going on? This is the power of ThousandEyes, right? Now, with our agents, we're able to view inside these previously dark areas of the internet and see what might be affecting this user's experience. So if we start back when the experience was good, you can see the user was online in green. Here's the basic metrics on them. Connected to their wireless router, hit their main router out, and then out to the internet to their services. As we progress through time, we can see changes in the network. So right here, where we start to begin to see errors, you'll notice this little lock right here. This is a VPN service. That user went and connected to the VPN. Whether they realized it or not, when they switched to their VPN, it looks like they started taking on errors. Looks like that VPN service was connected, and during the time that they were connected and having errors, looks like they stayed on the VPN. Now, if we go a little bit further, when things cleaned up, it looks like they turned it off. So you can quickly see, as the help desk operator or even network operations person, even in just a couple of clicks here, going into the network, kind of peering behind the veil there, we're able to quickly see what might be affecting this user's experience and do something about it. So what I want to invite you guys to do is walk with me into how do we sell this, right? Now that you've seen a demo, now that you've seen where we can bring value to an operation or to a company with an endpoint agent, for example, let's talk about what we can do with this thing and how we sell it. Well, I like to convey this as a very simple message around, does your customer use the internet or not, right? It's a very simple way to qualify it. So if we're thinking about this, almost everybody is using some kind of SaaS application today. So first step is, are you comfortable with the story around ThousandEyes? Do they use the internet? Do you think they have a use case for that? Does apply to my customer? And we can do that by just crafting a little story here in step one, which is, do you understand in the place that we fit, right? So I put together kind of 3 steps here. The way I would do a pitch in this first step would be, what does your company do? Well, I would say we empower enterprise and people to see, understand, and improve the digital experience over the internet. And then we might move into the value of, we work with companies like yours too, or we're in a unique position as a network intelligence platform too. And then we'll go into the value proposition, right? And that's where we'd be qualifying these next steps, how we can bring visibility into delivering a digital experience for your customer or for your workforce or across your enterprise applications, right? So if we're to walk through this kind of slide here, to use this as a map, if you will, on selling the solution, what we do is we kind of organize these into 3 different types of use cases, right? Your customer digital experience, this would be anything public facing. These are websites, portals, API services, etc., right? What we can offer in that space, or what our value proposition would be, is around determining fault domains, understanding the impact of users accessing those different services, and then measuring that experience and consistency from anywhere, right? This is where our cloud multiple vantage points gives us visibility and correlation data about what that experience looks like, and then rate it, right? Another type of use case would be, all right, what if we're doing hybrid work? What if we need to look at employees' experience both at home and in the office, or at a coffee shop for that matter? How do we make sure that our critical assets, our employees, are able to deliver on the services and solutions that we're offering to the customer base? Well, that falls in this hybrid work use case, and what we can do is we can deploy things like our endpoint agents and correlate that with other perspectives, whether it be enterprise agents or cloud agents, and we can find issues that are occurring within applications, within networks, or even local area networks or computers in that case. And then lastly, we have the enterprise networking use case, which is around visibility, where we can run agents on a switch or on a router within a branch, for example, and we can get that visibility about those SD-WAN environments, those traditional network resources that traverse between cloud and on-prem. And the power really comes into our real-time analysis of that. What you saw in the demo around historical visibility, we can move back and forth in time, and we can look at that infrastructure and quickly correlate what's going on. So why should we care, right? We should care because this product has a lot of value that we can deliver to our customers, right? We saw the financial impacts. We saw the time that it costs our customers, the stress that comes with that. We can have a meaningful impact on that. In addition to that, our solution is sticky, right? We play well with a lot of different solutions, right? For existing Cisco customers, we've got integration into WebEx, we've got integrations into AppD, and more coming in the future, right? So it's a very powerful solution that I think a lot of enterprises would resonate with. And so you should feel conviction when you speak about it. You should feel empowered to talk about it. Now, one very important slide I want to put out and maybe the most important slide for the Cisco AMs and Cisco people on the call, is that we've got a very special spiff offering internal to Cisco that really focuses and maximizes your ability to make money selling our solution. Well, we are perfectly positioned to help you make that money. And as you just saw, there's a lot of value that we can bring our customers where we all win in this case. So Cisco sellers, you can win here. Partners, understand we have a massive opportunity to grow. We're very underpenetrated in the marketplace today. So you can pretty much close your eyes, point in any direction, and find these new logos that are associated with this spiff. So I encourage you to definitely consider this, ask us questions about how we can empower you and make some of that money. Okay, so last thing here is a call to action. So I've got 3 big asks. The first one, know your ThousandEyes story, right? I hope that this has been useful to kind of understand the framing around why there's a need for our solution in the marketplace, how our world is different, and how we fit into that and can serve our customers, bringing them value in a variety of ways. Second, I encourage you to confidently demo the solution, right? As I mentioned, the 2 demos there I showed, that's publicly available information. You'll see this in the Sales Connect pages and the resources that we provide at the end, that you yourself can click into this. Within a few button clicks, you can confidently navigate through an outage, come to the resolution, and find the solution very simply and very quickly. So if you have questions there, I know there's a tremendous amount of material in the Sales Connect pages, but there's a ton of good videos, and I'm very confident that everybody on this call is able to demo the solution. Okay, last action. This is a big one. I want to ask if you could identify 2 customers where ThousandEyes would be a good fit, and then you engage your ThousandEyes PSS, or for the partners, reach out to your AMs on the Cisco side, and we'll get in touch with the PSSs and provide those to us. Now, I'll even sweeten the deal here, and I'll go ahead and throw in one of these fancy ThousandEyes t-shirts for the first person to bring us those 2 customers, so we can start this process and get those POCs underway. So with that, I will leave you with this resource page. This is a few links to everything I showed you all, and a 3-minute overview video just to kind of familiarize again with the story of ThousandEyes, where we fit, and then of course that all-important Sales Connect page with all of the important materials regarding the demo links, any of the presentation materials, etc. So with that, I know we got a little bit of time for a Q&A here at the end. I'm going to pass it back to you, Molly, to just cover the finishing of the Back to Basics, and then we'll open up for questions.